There's been a lot of talk about the lack of diversity in Hollywood regarding the snub of Selma in the acting categories for the nominations for the Academy Awards. What I really think people need to really start looking at is the total lack of diversity in black film when it comes to storytelling. One of the big problems with black cinema these days is that creatively, black films are telling the same stories over and over again. If we look at most black films these days, we either get your bland romantic comedy from your Kevin Harts or your Tyler Perrys. We get your period films from your Lee Daniels or your Oprah Winfrey's. Or we get, your urban dramas. And there's really, this is pretty much it, has been it for the last 15 years when it comes to black film. And the only reason way you can get some really good, diverse types of storytelling is from indie filmmakers, and they really have not been making as many films that they have made in previous years. Um, when it comes to black filmmaking, as I look at it, there's not much diversity when it comes to storytelling. Many of the stories we're getting are the same stories over and over again, against, as I said before. They start repeating themselves, and we really, as I see it, the black film has really declined in terms of quality and standards for storytelling. It's really not been as good as it's been as the golden age of the 1980s, late 1980s, early 1990s, when we had filmmakers like Robert Townsend, Spike Lee, Mario Van Peebles, the Hudlin brothers, and they were making a diverse array of films. We had dramas, we had comedies, we had biopics, we had different types of comedy, we had, even horror to a point with this Tales from the Hood back in the day, and we were getting a whole bunch of different pictures of the black experience. We weren't just getting one picture of the black experience. But fast forward to 2000, after Denzel Washington and Halle Berry won Oscars for Monsters Ball and Training Day, and black film has really fallen into a rut. And since then, we've just gotten, as I've stated before, your historical period films, your urban comedies from your Tyler Perrys and stuff like that, and your biopics. And it's a creative rut that I think black film is in, because we're not getting that diversity, not getting that real mix. Because as I look at it, from where we were in the late 1980s, we should be a lot further along creatively when it comes to black film. I mean, we should be getting a whole array of the black experience, because a lot of the black experience has been pretty much, those stories are not being told by black filmmakers, and they're not being supported by black producers, like your Oprah Winfrey's and your Lee Daniels, who produce this content, and they produce one type of content because, again, they want an easy Oscar. A lot of them are just doing it for easy Oscars and to placate many of the white liberals, um, who are the bread and butter of their financing. Because a lot of the stories we're getting, really, they fit the narrative of this white liberal and their view of the black experience. They're not our version of the black experience, or the diverse stories of the black experience. Because this is why I think we're getting all of these, these period films, and anything. Usually, in most of these stories we're getting over the last 15 years, every story features a black person as a victim. Every one of these Academy Award nominated and Oscar winning films, they all feature black people as being victims of white people, being victims of racism. It's the same story over and over again. Whereas a film like, your Great Debaters, your Pride, your I Will Follow, all of these stories which feature black people, telling their stories and talking about stuff from their experience without a heavy, victimized race angle, these films are never, praised or even supported even by black people. And they're never nominated for an award because, again, they do not fit the narrative of the white liberal and his view of the black experience. And this is the big problem when it comes to diversity in film. We're only getting one one monolithic viewpoint of the black experience when it comes to film. And this is why a lot of people are getting turned black people are getting turned off by black film, because we're not getting that array of stories about, different black experiences, and we're not being told, that there's a world for black people, outside of everything really being so heavily related to race. We're not seeing ourselves as we relate to ourselves on camera, and we're not getting, diverse. I mean, that diversity, because I see that diversity, when I explore storytelling, when I write different books, and that diversity also, those type of stories I find got stronger feedback, from black audiences and even non-black audiences, and people enjoy those type of stories, and people are, as I see it, they want that type of diversity when it comes to film. But everybody keeps trying to turn it into a race issue when, I look at the Oscar snub, it really does not phase me, because as a creator, I'm not, the Oscar is not my standard. As I've read Sid Field's screenplay, and here's the man who late Sid Field, who passed a couple of years ago, master of this of he wrote screenplays, he sold screenplays, he made a bunch of money doing this, and he says the Oscar is not a barometer of quality when it comes to film, and that the Oscar itself is a popularity contest. And a couple of years ago, I had read that the Golden Globes were bought and paid for. So all this talk about Oscar snubs and stuff, it really should. If you're in the film, it should not. You should not be judging the using the Oscar as your judge for barometer of quality, because it really isn't a judge or barometer of quality, and it really does not mean anything in terms of diversity. Even with the NAACP Image Award, again, another award, it's a popularity contest. I also noticed that films that do not fit the white liberal narrative are not chosen to win this award. And these are some very good films out here, and some very good actors, like your Sally Richardson Whitfields and your Tia Mowrys, who were sometimes never nominated or never won this award because they weren't popular. And even obscure films like your Night Catches This or your other black films like your Prize, none of these films win NAACP Image Awards, and they're not even considered. Like Great Debaters was never considered. And the big problem with it is that, again, black people still viewing themselves through the white liberals' eyes and the white liberals' narrative, and trying to make things meet the white liberal standard. And all this talk of diversity is basically a smokescreen for race hustlers to capitalize and make some money for themselves, and not really bring true diversity to African American film, and talk about, bring these different stories and these different experiences to the camera and develop screenplays for them. We're not seeing that when it comes to film, and what we're going to get from this whole Selma snub and all of this drama revolving around the Selma snub is we're not going to get any of the diversity that I grew up with, with those stories, different stories and different perspectives. And, those type of films, sadly, they've gotten buried over the last 15 years due to, most of Black Hollywood trying to push this liberal agenda so that they can get these easy Oscars. I mean, I look at it as just like the kid who goes to college and he's trying to get these easy A's by taking all these easy courses, but he doesn't want to do anything hard or develop his. And then later on, he doesn't understand that by taking all these easy courses and getting these easy A's, yes, he gets a big GPA, but his skills are not as good as a guy who buckled down and really studied hard and the craft of learned the craft and developed skills. He does. It's like a whole different thing. When the kid who studies hard and he has to learn, he's going to come at it with a more advanced skill set, and he's going to see things from a different perspective. Whereas the guy who took the easy A's, he's just going to do stuff. It's going to fit a formula, and it's going to just be predictable and standard. He's not really going to come out of the box because he really doesn't hasn't mastered the craft, and he hasn't mastered the craft of storytelling, cinematography, stage direction, direction itself. Knowing what to say to motivate actors. This is what happens when you master a craft. You're going to learn these different skills, and it's going to lead to you creating a better product. As a writer, I have to learn these different skills, and it's learned to me, and I have to keep honing those skills so I can learn how to make the best product possible and really come out of the box, and do something truly different. Because this is one of the big problems with black cinema is that we always talk about diversity, but there is no diversity of black experiences when it comes to the camera. What we're getting is, a lot of the same, as I keep saying, same, oh, excuse me, I just have an itch. The same tired, boring stories repeated over and over again. I mean, one of the things that people tell me when I write scripts, like I'll just pull it over, your All About Maryland's, which features which is a story about a black child star who grows up and has to struggle with life as an adult, is that it's a different experience, it's a different perspective. I've placed this book, on Kindle quite a few times, and it's the number one screenplay every time I've posted it up on KDP Select for free. Again, this is a story that's a different experience, and it had that great crossover appeal. When I've presented the story, white people have read it and liked it. People all over the world, Italy, Germany, they really enjoyed the story, and they said it was fresh and different. Very, very, and they come to me on Facebook and tell me these things. Um, they tell me it's a great story, and this is the type of thing that you're not going to get because it doesn't fit that white liberal narrative where you can make the evil white man and the evil you know I do talk about race, and I put the issue is in All About Maryland, and I talk about struggles of black actresses in Hollywood and all that stuff. But I try to remain objective, and a lot of people, even when I presented it to other readers, they've said that it was a very objective view, of Hollywood and the entertainment industry. And that's not what you're going to get. What we're getting these days, what we're getting is the same old stories, and this is one of the reasons why we're having trouble with the box office outside of your stereotypical outside of these things, and your stereotypical brute fest like your no good deed. I know I keep beating up on that movie, but it is a brute fest. It is a racist stereotype. But there is not that much diversity. And another thing that, because I do write screenplays, and I've been developing a TV series. Have the book right here. All About Nikki. This is the companion All About Maryland. It's the sitcom that was based in this, which is mixed in, which is in the screenplay. And I decided to write 13 episodes, for the TV scripts. And again, I got a lot of positive feedback on it. It's an international bestseller. Um, does very well all over the world. And it proved to me that people want they want those diverse stories about the African American experience, and it has that crossover appeal with with larger audiences. What the audiences are looking for is something different. What they're tired of is this victimized narrative, um, in when it comes to black entertainment, and they're tired of the same stories over and over again. What we're looking for is diversity. What people are looking for is stories to be different. They're looking for all those different because they know that there's more to black people than the civil rights period and slavery. There is more to black culture than the civil rights period and slavery, and we're not seeing that on camera. We're not seeing that being greenlit by movie studios run by white liberals, um, who just want to see that one black experience. Guys like me, we're trying to present, those different stories, and I do that. I publish these books out of my own pocket, and if I had the money, I would be financing production of your All About Maryland movie, All About Nikki TV series, or even a Temptation of John Haynes movie, or an ISIS movie, because I want to present those different experiences to people, and I want to give people that broader perspective of the African American experience that we really need. This is what we really need to tell history. Now, I've heard this argument over and over again from people saying that we need, your Selmas, your Butlers, your Preciouses to tell the story of the black experience and to teach kids about history. But I'm going to, I'm debating that, countering that debate with this statement. We need to show the other side of the black experience as well. We need to show a total and comprehensive view of the black experience so that people can get an objective picture of the black experience. I mean, all Hollywood has done is presented, they promote the negative side of it, and this is all black people support. They always look for the victimized angles when it comes to the black experience. We never want to explore the other side of the black experience, the humanized side. And this is something I saw, when I went to the Schomburg a couple of years ago. They had this presentation called Stereotypes and Human Types. And on one side of the museum exhibit, they had all the images of the coons, the minstrels, and all the racist stereotype caricatured images. And then on the other side, they had the humanized images of black people, the pictures of what black people really look like. And it was a very incredible experience for me to see that there was a humanized side to black people, that we're not talking about. And we didn't see these people, these working class people, these regular people, and and those stories are not being told or presented. What we're getting is a caricaturized image, and a victimized image. It just fits a narrative that a small group of people want to see, and is not an accurate depiction of African Americans as they truly are. And that's what I saw at the Schomburg, and that's what I'm seeing in real life. And one of the things I try to do as a writer is I try to present a humanized image of black people in all my stories, because I feel that it's very important for people to see the humanity of black people, as it relates to the world. Because when you start seeing the humanized depiction of black life, I believe it's going to change your perspective, and you start connecting with people as people, not seeing them as stereotypes and caricatures. Because what happens when you see a stereotype and a caricature is you start generalizing and creating these ideas that, about people that are not true. And this is why stereotypes are bad, because the ideas that you see do not represent who this person truly is. One of the things that people praise me about, and when I do when I do books like You're All About Maryland's and You're All About Nikki's, is that how I humanize the characters and how multidimensional they are. And this is something that we really need to see more of in films. And I've seen it in Ava DuVernay's work, like I Will Follow, and I've seen it in Denzel Washington's The Great Debaters, this humanized portrayal of black people. And we're not really getting that too much, because there's too many black films, we get this victimized narrative, like Your Preciouses and Your Monsters Ball, where black people are always the victim of somebody. But we never see, them taking that sense of responsibility, that sense of, about their lives, and you never see them go into that third act, growing from their experience, like I've seen in films like, Your Wrestlers, or, Your Sunset Boulevards, where I've seen, or even Your Marty, which is a classic movie everybody needs to see. In these films, we see this humanized character transformation that we don't see in, most black cinema. And this is one of the other big problems with black cinema when it comes to story. We're not seeing, this multidimensionality, this character transformation, and it's really not a fulfilling paradigm, when it comes to story. We're just not seeing that, and this is something we really do need to see in films to give it that diversity. I mean, when I look at a lot of films about the black experience, they're really shallow. They're really shallow, and they're really half done. done with that richness and complexity that a truly great story has. I mean, I've watched a lot of different movies over the last couple of years, and as a writer, I've had to read a lot of different books, and this is something that is very important for people to see, when it comes to story, and it really can give them a great experience and give them some perspective and understanding about, black people when you give them a full black experience and not just some half done, I'm a victim, this fits some narrative that everybody wants to hear, not what truly is. And I try to do that in my stories. I try to give you that full black experience, different stories, different experiences, so that you can see that black people aren't all the same, and that each person has a different view of the world and a different sense of ideas, and it really helps. I think it really helps people when they read these type of stories and see that there's different types of people in the world and different types of views, and that's how in most of my stories, this is what I do. I mean, because when my stories, what I do is I use my fiction novels. I mean, not fiction novels, but my novels. And my novelettes, I use a revolving first person perspective so that the reader can get an objective view and see these different viewpoints and see these different opinions and see really that black people are not all the same and they don't all follow the same narrative, and that we're all different and we all have different stories and we all have different experiences. And I always believe that it's important for us to see those different experiences because it helps us understand that we're not all the same and that we all don't have the same goals. Um, and I feel it humanizes black people, and it humanizes black people to the world. It's one of the most important things we need to show to the world is that, black people. I mean, because when it comes to these racists and these white supremacists and some of these white liberals, they don't see black people as human. They see black people from a paternalistic view that they're somebody that they need to be taken care of. They need to be put into a submissive position, and the only way for them to be human is on the terms of white supremacy. And their humanity is defined by white supremacy. And I don't see things that way. I see black people's humanity being defined by God, and because God made black people human, and we need to start seeing that from that view. Um, and our films need to reflect that view of us seeing ourselves through the standard of God, not the standards of white supremacy. Because I look at it, a lot of people who follow the white liberal narrative, in some ways they kind of see the white liberal as a god, and they're really trying to pander to him in order to win his favor and approval. And this hampers um, true diversity and the true growth of black cinema, and it's preventing us from seeing, that unique array of images that would comprise a complete and whole black experience. Because that's the way it should be. I mean, we need to see that diverse array of images, and we're not seeing that. Because for all the talk of diversity, all they're talking about is, we hired a black actor, and it's going to be a real. I look at the whole Selma Snub as what's going to happen is what we're going to get is, a half done, shallow, because whenever Al Sharpton is involved, you're not going to get any true effective results, change. You're not going to have a really direct impact. What you're going to get is, maybe a couple black actors get a couple of jobs here and there. A couple of scripts get greenlit for some more romantic comedies or some Christian dramas, or the usual movies, your biopics, or maybe a superhero movie here and there, but no real diversity. Everything is going to, again, fit that narrative of that liberal, and he's going to come in, because the only reason why there is so much controversy over this Selma Snub really is because it's a movie that fits that narrative of that liberal. I mean, if they were talking about great debaters, they wouldn't even, nobody would talk about it. If there was this Black Dynamite, nobody would care. again, or Pride, or Your Night Catches Us, or Your I Will Follow. Any film that featured you know black people telling stories about the black experience, and there was no white person involved, there would be the Academy wouldn't even nominate that type of movie. Again, it just as long as it fits that narrative that the white liberal has, um, they want to talk about it and then talk about race and diversity, and it really they don't. What it is that it's the only reason why everybody's getting all in uproar because this story fits that narrative of that liberal, and this is what black people usually like to argue about. Again, all the films I mentioned, all that don't feature this, they were great movies, and nobody wants to talk about them, and nobody wanted to support them. I mean, a lot of them they didn't even nominate them for NAACP Image Awards. Again, proving the point that the only reason why black people are upset is because it doesn't fit because it fits within the narrative of the white liberal, and they really aren't serious about diversity the way people who care about black people truly are concerned with diversity. Because the people who want real diversity want to show those different stories and those different experiences, and they want to break out of these stereotypes and really start telling the unique stories about the black experience and give people that broader perspective of black life and show that there is more to life than black people being victims of racism, um, black people being poor, black people being miserable, and them black people needing this great white savior to come and clean them up and give them a semblance of humanity. Um, and those stories, as I see it, those diverse stories, the truly diverse stories, are not being told in black cinema today. And I really wish that, black filmmakers, black actors would start telling those stories because I feel that the audience is there. And I've seen it when I presented the screenplay All About Maryland to audiences all over the world. The positive feedback I have gotten from that screenplay have shown me that there is an audience for those type of films, and we can even break through the foreign market, which a lot of black people say it's impossible to break through the foreign market. And I'm seeing that foreign audiences do like those type of black stories, but what they don't like is this victimization, this narrative, you know, that's currently being presented by white liberals. And I've seen it again with All About Nikki, the first season scripts I presented. Again, positive feedback all over the world for the sitcom. I'm even gotten an actress interested in playing that role, contacted me because they liked the script so much. Because I decided, I'm going to do a script about a black girl in Beverly Hills. And it's sort of like Fresh Prince meets Clueless, but incredibly, people just, they took to it and they loved it. And I'm seeing that people want those type of stories. They don't care that the Nikki character was black. They didn't care that Marilyn was black. They saw them as people, and they connected with them on a human level. In the case of both Marilyn and Nikki, they connected with her as a human being, and they saw the richness of the human experience and the human condition in this story. And then this is people of all ethnicities and people of all races who have read both of these stories, and they have come out of it learning something about the human condition, human experience, and they've written to me and told me about this, and I got incredibly positive feedback on it. This is the type of stories that we really need to start telling about the black experience. This is going to create true diversity because it shows the strength of character of people, the integrity of people. These are the kind of stories that really give you a lesson about life and with black people, and about black people and the black experience, and and really diversifies the kind of stories that we need to tell. Um, and that's how I feel about this whole argument of diversity. It really should not be about hiring black actors. It should be about telling different stories within the black experience and really talking about, you know, the larger panoramic view of black people. This is what, for me, diversity in black film should be about. This is what the discussion should be about. It should be a constructive discussion. It shouldn't just be about, we hired some black actors, we made a movie with some black actors in it, or we, stuck a black actor in a script that was really not tailor made to talk about the black experience. For me, a black film should be telling our stories, us telling our stories on screen, and us getting a truly equal opportunity to present those stories. I mean, to the world. And that to me truly is what diversity should be. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.